Jewish history on our Israel trip. Just when our brains were getting saturated, Miss Amy and Mr. Ian organized many fun excursions to lighten the mood. Here are the highlights. After exploring the ancient city of David, we were bused to Beit Guvrin National Park, an archaeological dig site where ancient Greeks lived some 2,200 years ago. There are underground industrial complexes with remains of olive oil production, weaving installations, water cisterns, pigeon housing, and baths, all pointing to a complex and advanced culture. We were taught how to use a pickaxe to gently loosen the dirt in an underground cave. We feel around the dirt with our bare hands for pottery sherds, bones, and teeth, and put the rest of the dirt in buckets. Then we transported the buckets out of the cave and sifted the dirt for additional treasures. All finds go to the Archaeological Society, as they are looking for any writings or symbols that tell the history. We didn't find anything too valuable, but a 6-year-old visitor on another tour did find a pair of golden earrings that are now in a museum. The digging was so much fun, and we didn't want it to end. Then we went on a tour of an underground complex lit by candles. Often we had to crawl through the tight spaces. What a maze of a town it must have been back in the day, bustling with people working and children running around. Imagine playing hide and seek there. We also got to visit the Dead Sea, the lowest point 430 meters below sea level. A long time ago, the ocean water from the Mediterranean Sea formed a vast lake at this site. Due to tectonic plates moving, the ocean inlet was cut off. However, Jordan River continued to feed into the lake, bringing rich minerals from the sandstones of surrounding valleys. The arid weather led to high evaporation, and thus increasing the salinity of the Dead Sea until no life could survive, hence the name. When floating in the Dead Sea, it feels weird not to be sinking. You cannot splash around because when the water gets in your eyes, it stings like mad. What felt like sand on the bottom of the sea was salt. We even found some crystals to take home. You really find out how many microcuts you have all over your body there. Ouch. We crossed over from Israel to Jordan at Eilat and was picked up by a Jordanian tour bus to go to Wadi Desert. It was like we landed on Mars. Rocky mountains dotted the desert landscape, and geodesic domes that are tourist campsites surrounded the foot of these mountains, just like you'd imagine a Mars colony would look like. Even the color of the sand was red. Arlo, my brother, and I really enjoyed climbing these mountains to the high plateaus to watch the sunrise or sunset. At that time of the day, the color of the whole place was breathtaking. The Jeep tour was also fun, during which we sat in the back of the truck. As we drove down steep hills, we couldn't help but holler and hoot. Alternatively, you can just climb up a steep hill and run as fast as your legs allow. You won't get hurt if you fall, only a mouthful of sand. A total of 12 movies were filmed here, including Martian and Lawrence of Arabia. I can totally see why this is a movie favorite. The landscape here is unmatched by any other place on this earth. Wadi was only a 2-hour drive from the famous Petra, featured in Indiana Jones. It was the trade capital of the Nabateans, an Arabic tribe that prospered from incense trade from the Arabic Peninsula to the Mediterranean. Nabateans were masters of mountain carving. As we walked through the narrow gorge, suddenly the walls parted, and the sun lit up the face of an intricately carved, huge structure. It took our breath away. Only one structure in Petra was built, while all the rest was carved into the mountains. The most impressive aspect of this style of architecture is that it did not allow mistakes. In fact, you can see that occasionally they made mistakes and they had to abandon the project and start a new one. The Nabateans were able to build such a grand city in such a desolate valley because they are masters of water. They know how to find water, how to direct water via aqueducts seen here, how to collect them in lined cisterns, and how to hide them from enemies. That was why the Greeks and Romans had a tough time conquering them. 3 things eventually led to the downfall of Petra. First, the Egyptians developed their own route to bypass Petra. They probably taxed the traders way less. Secondly, Constantine converted to Christianity, which did not burn incense. This greatly reduced the need for a trade route, as incense is the most essential commodity. Lastly, a huge earthquake struck in 363 AD, which damaged the aqueduct. It proved to be too much for the city to return to its former glory, and the population dwindled, until tourism brought life back to the valley. Now the locals are renting donkeys with Wi-Fi and air conditioning. This trip has been a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But the best part of it all was that I got to share the fun with my brother and friends.